In today's video, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to make buckwheat flour at home. It is so easy. Now, while I grind most of my grains in my Nutri-Mill grain mill, this one requires nothing more than a high-speed blender. I am Amy from A-Red Spatula, and whole grains are my thing. Now, if you're looking for gluten-free whole grain options, buckwheat flour is a really cool option. Now, of course, as always, don't forget to subscribe, especially with this one. After I show you how to grind it into buckwheat flour, I'm also going to show you a lot of recipes to go along with this. As always, if you have questions or comments, drop them in the comments section below and I will reply as soon as I can. Before we get into making buckwheat flour, I just want to talk about what buckwheat actually is. It is called a buckwheat groat, you can see here. Now, it's actually a pseudo cereal, which means that it's a seed that's consumed as a cereal grain. Other examples of this are quinoa, amaranth. And one thing to note too, in case you don't know, is buckwheat is not a wheat, despite its name. It's actually gluten-free and contains no wheat. Now that we have the basics out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about how to make flour. I buy my buckwheat groats already roasted. You can do the same thing. I think it's a lot easier. If it's not roasted, you can go ahead and roast them. You can do this in a pan or in the oven. It's a very simple process and it adds a little dimension to the flavor. Once your buckwheat groats are roasted, if you're doing them yourself, make sure that they're cooled. And then we're going to add in about 1/2 cup of buckwheat groats into your blender. I start by blending it on low for about 30 seconds. This kind of breaks it up into smaller pieces, and then after this you're going to turn it on high and you're going to grind it for another 30 seconds. I like to do this in 30-second increments and then check it every 30 seconds to see how it's doing. So once the 30 seconds are up, what you're going to do is I just take off the lid and I take a spoon down in there and I mix it around just to see what it looks like. If it's not as fine as I want, because I do like a really fine flour, what I'm going to do is turn it back on and run it for another 30 seconds. Now, once the flour is done, it's ready to use. You'll want to let it cool down just a little bit, of course, if you're baking or cooking with it. But now some people I know like to sift the flour. I personally do not sift my whole grains. Some people do this because it will give it a smoother texture, but what I find is it removes the bran. And if I am using whole grain flours, I want to use the whole grain, not just part of them. So I want that bran included. So I never sift my flours. Okay, that's it. Your buckwheat flour is done. It's ready to use. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. These next videos that are coming out, I'm going to be using this buckwheat flour to make bread, cookies, and cakes, or crepes, excuse me, not cakes. That's coming up. And you do not want to miss those. So don't forget to subscribe.